Hello and welcome to Jamaica Live. This is your news update with me, Odera, and it is another Monday evening. I forgot that the times were changed back. So my Jamaican people, we are on the same time. It is 5 o'clock in Jamaica and 5 o'clock in New York. Unfortunately for my family in Nigeria, it is 11 p.m. But I trust that my Nigerians are awake to listen to me chatter this evening, this night. And I hope you guys can join me. I hope you enjoy today's show. Unfortunately, yet again, we are starting off on a very sad note. We at Jamaica Live are sharing our thoughts and prayers with those affected, with the families of those affected by the shooting in Sutherland, Texas, yesterday. So some background on that event. It's very sad, very unfortunate, and I don't know how many times we're gonna go through this. It's another shooting in America. The sheriff of Sutherland, Texas, said that this is the largest shooting in Texas history, and it's very sad. Now, 26 people were killed in the shooting. The shooting happened in a tiny church, a First Baptist church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, and the shooter came in with a mask, with a vest, and killed 26 people, injured 20. Of course, yesterday was Sunday. It was a tiny church. Pictures from the report show how small. There was no place for the members of the church to run through. And those people that were killed were the victims were aged from 18 months to 77 years old. And a pregnant woman and three of her children were killed. And one particular family lost 3 generations of family members in the attack. Now, what makes this shooting particularly interesting is that a neighbor next to the church heard the gunfire and came out with his own gun, and as the shooter was getting away, he fired. Witnesses said 4 shots, 2 first, 2 again, at him and his car. According to reports, they said by the time police caught up with him, he had already crashed, presumably from the shots that were fired. Many of the townspeople, many of the community members say that neighbor, who at this point has refused to be named, that neighbor came out and was a hero. And it's very sad, very sad. The daughter of the pastors of that church was killed, and the pastors were actually away. They were not around when this attack happened. So I can imagine that it is incredibly hard for them. Speaking about guns, it takes me over to our Jamaica, where our second story is from. Now, a politician who contested, unfortunately lost, in the 2016 general election for the Jamaican Labour Party. His name is Trevor Webb. Now, he is currently under investigation after a video was circulated of him shooting targets off a man's head. He spoke to some news outlets in Jamaica and said that the rounds were not live, and he was just practicing, probably messing around, and that him and the person he was shooting at would have had to be mad to stand there and let shots be fired at them. Since we are on the topic of gun violence and guns with these two topics, I just want to discuss about how gun control should be better enforced around the world. I understand the need to protect, but I always bring up the example of England when I'm talking about this. The police in England do not carry guns. Now, mind you, crime is not considerably less there, but at least mass shootings where multiple people are injured at a time are at a minimal level. It's mostly knife fights, shanking, and the police know how to handle that when it comes down to it. And you don't hear about people being gunned down in the streets. And because I feel like because the police don't have guns, you don't find guns. You don't usually find guns in England. It's rare. I'm not saying that there are no guns in England, but it's very, very rare to find guns in England because, of course, there is not a market for guns. And I think that's something that we in Jamaica and in the US need to explore. For this politician, I feel it's very irresponsible as somebody that ran in an election and or was campaigning for the better of the people to find yourself making a video being careless with guns, especially when a human being is involved. This was not a video of him shooting at random targets. This is a video of him shooting at a person on a target. Meanwhile, gang members do similar things to scare victims. So why would you do this? Like, what is this culture? What is this obsession with gun control that makes us obsession with guns full stop, that make us abuse the use of guns? Now back to the story of the shooting in Texas. According to reports, the shooter, Devin Patrick Kelly, was a 26-year-old former veteran, and he was not a veteran because he was dishonorably discharged because of cases of domestic violence against him. He hurt his wife and hurt his child. And according to reports, they say that he should not have been given a weapon because his record should have popped up that he had been charged for violence in the past, and he should not have been allowed a weapon at all. But somehow he purchased a gun. And the United States needs to look into their gun laws. They keep fighting that it's in the Constitution, the right to bear arms. But I believe that we need to look at how that was a completely different time period. That was a completely different time period. And people were considerably less angry as well. I don't think you want to put guns in the hands of people that are mentally unstable. And it's so interesting that President Trump has already said that this person must have been mentally unstable. So how it seems like a pattern. The Las Vegas shooting, the same thing. The man was sick. But don't you think there's an issue with guns if supposedly mentally unstable people are getting their hands on these weapons and then going out to commit these violent crimes? Don't you believe that it's better that these guns are not easily available to these people, rather to may have it as an option? What about the people that are undiagnosed, that it will not show up in their record when they come to buy a gun? What about that? You know that there are so many parameters under which this gun control discussion should be discussed, but it's not being discussed. In Jamaica as well, I believe that violence and gun violence is at an alarming high, and this politician should not be joking around, should not be playing with guns for the people to see. These are people that you expect to elect you, but you're behaving in such a manner, and it's just unprofessional. It's unprofessional, and it says a lot. It says so much about how you're presenting yourself to your constituents if you're going to be shooting. Gun violence is a big problem in America. Every other day there's a story about somebody getting shot. What makes headlines are the mass shootings. As of this weekend, reports are saying that Chicago is about to mark its 600th shooting for this year. 600 shootings in Chicago as of November 2017. That is a crazy number of innocent lives that do not need to have been wasted in that way. Why are there guns on our streets? Why are there guns available to people that are mentally unstable? Why are there guns available to the public? Full stop. I do not believe guns should in America, because of course there is a high rate of people that already have illegal weapons. Fine, police can carry guns to be able to protect themselves, but I don't believe the public needs guns. I don't believe anybody needs guns. I really believe that there's a way you can police without shooting, but until we arrive at that point, until it is actually possible, then only authorities, only those licensed to protect should have guns. Now, the reason why I said that the reason why I said the Texas shooting incident was interesting was because a neighbor came out with his own gun that he's licensed to carry and attacked the shooter. So obviously, when this debate comes up once again, I do believe that people will cite that the hero of the day also shot. So it's between good and evil. But I don't believe that's a legitimate answer. If people were not allowed to carry weapons under any circumstances, then there would not have been a shooting to begin with. Anybody that's getting guns illegally would not have gone to a church to shoot up. Now, it's very interesting to know that this shooting at this point has been ruled not racially motivated, not terrorist, it's not motivated by anything. The police are still investigating to find out why the shooter bought the gun in San Antonio, which is some ways away from this small town. And many people are asking the question, why this small town? Why this church? Why a church at all? So many questions, and unfortunately, of course, the shooter is already dead. And it's just unfortunate. Our hearts go out to those in Texas now who are grieving terribly. I researched and found that Sutherland Springs is a very tiny town. Everyone knows themselves. So the entire town is shaking up because these are people that they know and that they've known a while. My thoughts and prayers are with them. So my next topic on the list is Saudi Arabia corruption arrests. In Saudi Arabia this weekend, some media outlets are describing it as to be very Game of Thrones-esque. I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I can't speak exactly on how, but from what I'm hearing, it's kind of like a power tussle. Now I'm gonna give you the report, and you can decide for yourself what you believe it to be. So, over the weekend, and this is coming just weeks after Saudi Arabia lifted its ban for women to drive. So women can now drive in Saudi Arabia. And it seems the next order of business in Saudi Arabia is this new anti-corruption law that they just pushed on November 4th. And as the law was being decreed in Saudi Arabia, authorities picked up 11 princes and 4 sitting ministers on the basis of corruption and arrested them and took them. This is Saudi Arabia now. They are being held in the Ritz-Carlton of Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, and as a jail cell, fancy jail cell. Excuse me, fancy jail cell. So the amongst them now is one of the richest men in the world, Prince billionaire, a billionaire. Excuse me, a billionaire prince, Prince Al Wahid, who, interestingly enough, had a Twitter fight with candidate Trump when he was running for election last year. They do not seem to see eye to eye, possibly because they're both very successful, wealthy businessmen. Who knows what the issue is? But he is amongst the people in Saudi Arabia that were arrested on corruption charges. Now, according to those on ground in Saudi Arabia, the prince, the prince in charge, that gave this order, that is like, the ruling prince, is just took over from his father. His father just gave him the throne, and it seems, people say that it seems that he is trying to set the tone for his own administration, to show the people that he is fighting corruption and he is doing things in a fresh new way. And it's very interesting because arresting senior princes in this way goes against an agreement the royal family has to keep this agreement amongst them private, so as not to show, I guess, the subjects when they're fighting, so everything is not in disarray, so things don't go into chaos. And so announcing this new anti-corruption laws and then picking up these princes is very new, very different for the government of Saudi Arabia, and it's interesting to see this sort of power tussle. It's kind of like a power move. There were many reports that say many of the princes that the crown prince had arrested were those that could be in line for the throne. So it seems, as much as they say that there is an investigation into corruption, and I'm speaking from experience, anywhere there is oil, there is bound to be corruption. But some are speculating that while there may be corruption involved, it might actually be because the crown prince wants to secure his seat on the throne and make sure no one challenges him throughout his reign, which seems pretty interesting. For me, I find it refreshing. Whatever his ulterior motives are, as long as corruption is being fought and tried, I believe that's a step in the right direction. Middle East and Africa have similar issues concerning corruption, especially those blessed and cursed with oil-rich land. There is always much corruption within the government, and it's always very hard, very difficult, very complicated. So I feel that these arrests are necessary, and I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. It's something different we're seeing from Saudi Arabia. We're seeing a lot of change coming out of Saudi Arabia, and change is always, most times, change is good. And if Saudi Arabia can fight its corruption, I'm hoping that for the region they can stand as a kind of inspiration to other nations around them, especially Africa, to be firm and fight corruption the way corruption needs to be fought, investigated, and nip it in the bud, like, no matter the cost. Now, the Saudi Arabian government is run through a royal family, so it is a big deal for him to publicly arrest other princes like him, basically from the royal family, and ministers as well. Now many of these princes held key positions in government, so it's quite interesting to see him clamp down on them like this. But it's also welcome. If indeed they are found to be corrupt, then they should serve the time. And I believe we all over the world, wherever corruption exists, should look into fighting corruption in this way. And I intend to look at that story more. I intend to follow the story more, and hopefully things will work out. I can't get over the fancy prison though, that like Ritz Carlton prison. Ooh, I wonder if they get room service. Well, I mean, they serve prisoners in jail, so they would get room service as jail food. But I mean, these are princes. They probably don't know. The Ritz Carlton probably is a jail for them. But I'm debating. In entertainment news, in lighter news, on a lighter note, Cardi B, you know what? I'm not gonna sing it now, but Cardi B was in Jamaica this past week, and she came to shoot a music video. And many people on her social media, Cardi B started as a social media sensation. That's how I know her. That's how I fell in love with her. So Cardi B was in Jamaica for a music video this past week, and she was spotted without that bling bling. Her aide carried $500,000 ring was not on the trip with her. It was not on her finger throughout. And many people were on Twitter and Instagram speculating if there could be trouble in paradise. And of course, Cardi B, not one to keep quiet at all, responded to an Instagram comment, and she said, I am, let me read her. She said, she asked, would you take a $500,000 ring everywhere? I ain't getting, she said she's not getting Kim K. If you remember, Kim Kardashian was, sadly, robbed when she went to Paris. So Cardi B is saying she does not want to be Kim K. And she's not using it in a city where she doesn't have a weapon. I didn't know that Cardi B carried weapons, but what's interesting is that she believes she needs protection in Jamaica. Now, she was very crafty what she was saying. She didn't come out and mention how dangerous Jamaica really is, but she did say that she wasn't gonna take it somewhere where she didn't have protection, basically. And that was that. And I think it's a message for the people of Jamaica to kind of sit up. Like this is your country. This is a great tourist destination. People want to come from around the world. But then, of course, they're still backed by the fear of danger, of crime. And why should that be? In 2017, when Jamaica is supposed to be a lovely tourism destination, it's supposed to be raking in the dough from tourism, it's supposed to be a relaxing place, an ideal, a paradise, basically. Like the whole of Jamaica, the entire island is supposed to be a paradise on earth. Jamaicans should be enjoying, and visitors should be able to come and enjoy peacefully without fear of danger. And for a whole superstar on Cardi B's level to be afraid of bringing her 8-carat ring when she has no weapon, it's a message. I believe that's a very deep message to the people of Jamaica, and I believe that is something that we should take into consideration, something that we should pay attention to, and figure out what we're going to do about it, because we can have people coming to Jamaica and not feeling comfortable, especially when we want them there. Who doesn't want Cardi B around? So remember that you can join the conversation by commenting or calling us on WhatsApp. Does anybody else call it WhatsApp? You can call us on WhatsApp, join the conversation, and I I can read out your comment. I can answer your call. If you're here in the US, feel free to call straight through. If you're international, call us on WhatsApp or send me a message on WhatsApp. I will definitely read it out for everyone to share in on it. And sadly, I have to double back over the topics for today once again. And such a sad topic. I'm actually quite tired about talking about shootings in the United States. Aren't you tired? Like, for how long are we going to hear this? I feel like it was just a month ago we were talking about a mass shooting. Thank God it was not even on this level, but of course, I feel like it's every week that we're talking about some danger. Period. Literally just last week, there was a Halloween issue here in New York, and now a mass shooting. It's so overwhelming, and it's so sad. And for the terrorist attacks, be what they may be, that we cannot directly control. But when it comes to gun violence, I believe that that is something we as Americans do have better control over. And I feel like that's something we should address. The it's sad. It's stressful to think about. And one of the reports said that I read one of the many articles on the issue, authorities talking about what people should do, and they were like, "Oh, does this mean that now a conversation on gun control, a debate on gun control, is going to be heard?" And they were like, "No, it's not. Nothing about gun control. The people just need to be hyper vigilant." Now, hypervigilance when a person has PTSD is dangerous and unhealthy. Hypervigilance makes you paranoid. Hypervigilance makes you uncomfortable because you're being hypervigilant. So that means you're not trusting anything. Every loud sound can be a gunshot, and you're gonna duck for cover or scream or something, and that can be dangerous to the public. I don't believe authorities should be asking us to be hyper vigilant. At this point, I believe we should be talking about stricter gun laws and possibly not the right to carry. Like, I don't know what your opinion is on this. I don't know what many people feel about this, but I feel like if if a controlled society can begin to say no more guns, then it will make more sense saying some guns are illegal because then there's no gun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear about people getting caught with weapons, and they have no license for it, and of course maybe gang members, and of course they may have criminal records, which is why it's illegal that they have them. But imagine if we had stricter gun laws before the gangs were formed. They would not have been able to have easily gotten their hands on guns because before any of these maybe gun gang members had guns, they had no criminal record, so they could just pick up and go buy one. But now it's out of control and it needs to be handled. We cannot go on any longer. This is just a month. It's literally a month. The Las Vegas shooting happened October 1st, and this is just November 5th. So it's literally a month, and it's another mass shooting. Family, like a whole three generations of family members in one family. A pregnant woman, a 1 year old child was shot up in a church. When will it end? When is this gonna end? I'm tired. I'm tired of talking about things like this. I'm tired of hearing about So talking about gun control, I spoke about a politician in Jamaica. In Jamaica, I love the word Jamaica. In Jamaica, who was using a man's head as target practice. Well, not his head, but he was shooting things off a man's head as target practice. And this is a candidate from the Jamaican Labour Party. He ran in the 2016 general elections and lost. Wonder why. And lost. And this year, we catch up with him and he is shooting things off of people's head. And so that brings me back to my frustration with guns. Like, why are guns so easily in the hands of people? And why why are people so comfortable with them? That's my issue. Like, we are no longer hunting. I mean, except for the people that hunt as sport, like, people don't really need to hunt as food. So why does everybody just feel the need to have a gun? And then to use it carelessly. I feel it's completely different if you have a gun and you're shooting game. That's different as much as the like morality lines about shooting animals for sport are. That can even be, you know, that can even be looked at differently. But giving guns to people that we are not sure are mentally stable, that is worrisome, and I'm just tired of hearing it. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of hearing this go on in our society. I'm tired of being hyper vigilant. Like, you live here, and I'm Nigerian, so I'm gonna give it. I'm Nigerian, and I left Nigeria because it was getting unsafe to live. Like, I mean, unsafety in Nigeria is not even just because of, the crime. Like, you're even unsafe in the hands of the people that are supposedly put there to protect you. So unsafety in Nigeria is like on a whole different level. And that was part of the reason why I decided to move to the United States. But when I tell my friends that, they're like, well, America's not that safe. They are actually, I say, oh, come visit me. And they're afraid. They're like, I don't want to come. I don't know who's going to get up and shoot somebody, because this is a reality. It is so common to hear that people in Africa are afraid of visiting America, even visiting, just visiting, because they're afraid of getting shot. That's how common it is to hear about shootings in this country. And even in Nigeria, where we are not, it's not the safest place in the world. It's not the most well put together society. Things are all over the place and out of control. But you still don't hear about people getting shot at random, or that often. Like, if anybody's getting shot, it's usually a stray bullet. Even many of our gangs, you don't really hear about them having guns. The only people that we know that have guns are the terrorist group in the north. But it's not common. Like, the gun use is not, guns are not are not easily available to the average man on the street. In America, it is. And as a result of that, you see shootings in the news every other day. On this platform, I spoke about robbers that shot store owner. Petty robbery. You're shooting like a corner, you're robbing a corner store and you kill a man. Why should people be allowed to rob a tiny corner store and have, and even be able to get away with killing someone? Like, it's horrible. It's so sad, and I don't know when this is gonna end. I don't know when gun control is gonna be under control, and we're no longer gonna hear about these people buying so many guns just to commit atrocities and just to hurt people. It's devastating to hear that people would just behave in this manner. I always feel kind of emotional when I talk about things like this because I can't imagine how traumatic it would to be in a place, even if you survive that sort of thing. How do you stay? How will you live with the images going through your head that you saw people blown apart in front of you? It's incredible to believe, and I find the argument of people being mentally unstable just not cutting it enough. It doesn't cut it because even the people, there are gonna be people that will be mentally stable and will still shoot up a church. So how do we curtail that? Bad people do bad things. I believe if it's in you, it's in you. If you're chemically imbalanced or not, it's gonna come out some way, somehow. So how can we stop putting guns in the hands of people, full stop, in the hands of the general public? That's my stance. I understand that states like um states like Texas have laws that say they can open carry. um they're using their right to carry bear arms very well in Texas, but I do not believe that it is enough reason for people to be able to just walk into a store and buy a gun. I don't. I no longer see it. But then again, I have to wonder if it's possible, that guns can be not made available to the public any longer. What then happens to those people that own stores for weapons? Because they're authorized gun dealers. Why a gun dealer should be authorized, I do not have any idea. And who authorized the gun dealer? That's what I'm saying. Like earlier, I said that we need to revisit this right to bear arms, because when the Constitution was written, it was a completely different time period. There were completely different dynamics. Like, what now is the point? Back then, like, people used to have their own gun. Like, what is the point of having somebody with a large store that's just selling guns? Doesn't he intend to sell out his stock, right? Now, if he intends to sell out a full store of guns, what does he expect everyone to do with these guns? Everybody can't be shooting game. You're not shooting game with a Glock. I know that's for sure. And you're not going hunting with no Glock. You're not going hunting with no AK-47, or a rifle maybe, but I don't know about a double barrel. Like, what are people using these guns for? Like, why should there be so many stores selling guns? And what are guns being used? Like, defense? I just feel like if guns were not in circulation, you won't need a gun for defense, because whoever is coming to rob you is gonna come with a knife. You know what I'm saying? So, like, uh, possibly take up martial arts. I feel like there are better ways to waylay a criminal that is unarmed rather than shooting them. I'm so tired of this gun topic. I really am. I'm frustrated that children have to be affected. Like Sandy Hook, children were shot up. Why? Um, why are we so comfortable with guns? Why should we be so comfortable playing with guns? Like, he says that he was just playing around, the bullets were not live rounds, but is that an excuse enough? Should we play? Like, why should we play with guns? Why should that be an image? And this is supposed to be a politician. This is supposed to be a candidate that possibly ran on the notion that he is going to be there for the people, right? That's what politicians say. He's going to do more for the people. Is this his version of doing more for the people by having them see you, play with the gun? Like, who does that? Like, what is that? What image are you sending out? We're talking about gangs being a problem in Jamaica, and you're playing with guns. You're just like randomly, like, just shooting, just here shooting targets off my friend's hair. Nothing to see here, really. Like, it's unfortunate. If a politician can run for office, I believe his whole life should be an example of a positive example for the people. I believe it should be a positive example for the people and not a negative one, not one that has undertone of violence or undertone of even seeming to relate, even just the image that, oh, he has a gun, so maybe guns are cool, or maybe it's all right to have a gun. Like, even that is too much for a politician to have. I believe this politician, I believe he should, like, even if it's like community service, he should serve some time, because he's supposed to be a model citizen. Like, how is he supposed to lead followers? This is probably why he lost. How is he supposed to lead followers if he's gonna be going around playing with a gun? I don't understand it. It's not funny. Guns are not things to be played with. People get hurt when guns are involved. And this politician, this is a grown man. He should know better. That's all I can say about that. I move on to Saudi Arabian corruption arrests. Now, over the weekend, the Saudi Arabian government released some new set of anti-corruption laws. It was a very long document itemizing all the things that are now considered government that I believe was not itemized specifically in their previous constitution or whatever document that they go by. So this new law itemizes different ways, details, different ways in which a person can be found to be corrupt in Saudi Arabia. And as that document was being read and being decreed, authorities were picking up certain members of the government and arresting them. Now, according to reports, 11 senior princes and 4 sitting ministers were arrested and taken to the Ritz-Carlton in Riyadh, in the capital, and that's where they're being held until investigation and trial. I think it's a fancy jail. I mentioned that before. But many are speculating that this can be a power tussle for the crown prince who gave this directive and who developed these new anti-corruption laws. Now, background on the crown prince, he just recently took over from his father, who was the original crown prince of Saudi Arabia, so the original king of Saudi Arabia. So the crown prince is now in charge, and he's setting a new pace. He's setting like new rules. And while many on one hand are speculating that he is trying to establish his own administration and trying to show the people that he does want to fight corruption, that he's trying to show people that he's fresh and new and, for this era. On the other hand, many people say that many of the senior princes that were arrested once those laws were announced are people that could threaten the crown prince's throne. So it's possible that he's getting out the enemy before they decide to get at him. Whether that is true or not, that has not been established. Personally, any way that corruption is being fought, I believe is necessary, because I have this theory that even if it's a corrupt administration fighting corruption, if they're putting people in jail and finding them out honestly to be guilty of corruption, and these people are in jail, if the opposition, of course, in a democracy with the king, is kind of with the prince and a kingdom. It's kind of different. But when I say this, I'm speaking about democracy. So if in a democracy, one administration, one government arrest possibly the members of the opposition that were formerly in power, formerly in office for corruption, and tries them, finds them guilty, throws them in jail, I believe that the opposition party, when they get the chance, they will revenge and do exactly the same thing, fairly try them, blow the lids off. Because I can speak for, like, for in Nigeria, I know that most of these corrupt politicians, they're all friends, like they're literally all connected. So they basically know each other's stories. So they would know who and who is involved in corruption. So what I'm saying is that if one administration tries the opposition party, oh, you're corrupt, okay, good, I'm going to try you. Oh, I found you guilty. Oops, because I already knew you'd be guilty. You go to jail, you serve the time. When the opposition is in power, they do the same thing. And I feel like there's a way that this can keep on happening. Like prosecuting, throwing in jail, each government prosecuting the other members until we have found out that we've cleared up all the corrupt politicians. So if Saudi Arabia is doing this now, if he can make an example of senior princes and sitting ministers that, hey, you guys are not above the law. If you're doing something bad, you will serve the time. It's going to create a system, going to create a society where even the lowest on the totem pole would know that, hey, if I'm corrupt, if I do something bad, I'm going to go to jail. Because if a senior prince could go to jail for massive corruption, then that means I stand no chance. So I might as well not be corrupt. It makes sense. It might take a long time. It might be a long process. It might be far-fetched even, but I just think that there's a way that corruption can be fought when somebody takes that bold leap and says, I'm going to do something about this. And yeah, this has got to end, and this has got to end now. And okay, so the reason, like I said, I don't know if you remember, but the reason why it's an example for everyone else is because the Saudi Arabian royal families have an agreement where they don't show the public when they're disagreeing, so as not to, have the people confused about where power stands. So this crown prince arresting all these senior princes is setting a whole different tone for the way things have been going on in Saudi Arabia. So that's why it seems like this can be used as an example. At least I feel like it would at least give the masses like something, a form of regulation that is better than any kind of policing. Like, there's no better example than seeing your crown prince arrest people that you respected for corruption. These are high level a senior prince. Like, it's a prince. If the crown prince can arrest senior prince on charges of corruption, then who are you, mere subject of the land, to be corrupt? I think it is a fair warning. I feel like it will transform societies if we can establish that. Because, like I said, I always refer back to Nigeria. In Nigeria, I know that even the guy that's fixing your car is as corrupt as the politician carting away bags of money, because in his mind, he's like, well, the people leading us are doing it, so why don't I fix this car and make some extra money? Like, there is corruption in every tier of Nigerian society. So if we can find a leader, I mean, in Nigeria, in Jamaica, if we can find a leader that says, hey, sorry, you were my friend before, you're not my friend now because you broke a law, so go serve the time. If we can find a leader bold enough to make that step and do that, we can clean up our countries real good. And it'll create amongst the politicians, they may be angry, but hey, who cares? Be angry. I want you to be angry, so you countercharge somebody, send them to jail, and we can use them. That will be the way that politicians will eventually clean up their own mess. And hopefully, as time goes by, more and more people would start voting in credible leaders. So as eventually you get to a point where it's credible people trying corrupt politicians, and in the event that that decides to change, and the opposition, those credible leaders, supporters decide, get into power and decide to try those credible leaders, they would find that they're not a part of corruption, so nothing to try. So it would be like, oh well, look who's clean, and I don't know. I think this is a good start to fighting corruption in Saudi Arabia. Like I said, coming from an oil-rich nation myself, I know that where there's oil, there is greed and corruption. So if the crown prince feels that this is the best way to go, of course, it was an out of the blue announcement. It came from nowhere. There's no preparation for it. It's kind of like a shock attack on everybody. But hey, if that's what you need to do to fight corruption, kudos to Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay, and like I said, such a fancy jail, Ritz Carlton. I wish I could be like grounded, like go to your room at the Ritz Carlton. Moving on, Cardi B. Cardi B was in Jamaica shooting a music video, and her $500,000 8-carat ring was not with her, and many fans seem to be shocked. They seem to be upset. Many people took to Twitter to complain. You know how the rumors get. Everybody was like, oops, knew the engagement was a fake, knew it was a sham. And actually, the week before Offset proposed to Cardi B, Cardi B went on her Instagram and uploaded an Insta story that she was mad about something, and she said she posted single. And then a few hours later, she posted, "Oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry. I was just angry. Please forgive me." Many blogs carried it like, "Oh, Cardi B is a superstar, but just like the rest of us, you're with your boyfriend one moment, you break up with him for something silly one moment, and then you get back with him when you calm down." So, of course, she's a real person. She's a real person, just like the rest of us. So many people were like, maybe it wasn't real. Maybe she's changed her mind. Maybe the engagement was planned. Maybe it was fake. Many people. And Cardi B, in true Cardi B fashion, answered the haters and told them that, would you take a $500,000 ring to a city where you have no one? Basically, that's basically what she said. Oh, would you take a $500 ring somewhere where you don't know, and she did mention that she did not want to be Kim Kardashian. She didn't laugh. She did not want to be Kim Kardashian because remember, Kim Kardashian went to Paris and was unfortunately robbed and tied up in her bathroom, and so I guess Cardi B had flashbacks of that. I mean, they stole jewels from Kim Kardashian worth an estimated up to, I think that was estimated almost up to 300,000. So if people could steal one ring of 500,000, you think they won't steal it? I get that. And then of course her last statement was, especially I'm not using it in a city where I don't have a weapon. And I thought it was very interesting. I didn't know that Cardi B carries weapons. But then again, it shows, as much as she knows how pretty beautiful Jamaica is and how cool her video is going to be for shooting it there, she does know about the reputation of it being dangerous. And she didn't want to be caught unawares. And so she protected her ring. She protected something she appreciates very much, and she did not take it. And I've been speaking about gun violence. I've been speaking about crime. I've been speaking about general endangerment. Jamaicans should look into this. Like if a whole star like Cardi B can be worried about getting jumped or whatever, then there's more to it, and it says a lot. And we should take time and reflect on that type of reputation. I think it's so bad that Jamaica has a reputation as being so dangerous, and I believe that Jamaicans should look at it's in their best interest. If the country is better, you get more people to come around, you get more tourists, and you yourself are comfortable. Like, I understand that so many people grew up in like dangerous areas. They were afraid for their lives, and that's why so many people left Jamaica, because it was unsafe. There were no prospects. People were scared. Why do you want to live that way? Like, I feel like the people should look more into their own things and try and say, like, listen, this has got to stop. It's no longer acceptable that Jamaica is so dangerous. No, it's no longer acceptable that crime is so high, and it's no longer acceptable that we're dealing with this. According to a World Bank report, crime cost Jamaica $61 billion in 2014. Because of crime, Jamaica lost $61 billion. That's a lot of money. And that is money that could have been invested into capital projects, into infrastructure, into community development, into youth development, into so many things, but that was spent on dealing with crime. And it is sad. Like, it is 2017. There are so many cars are almost about to drive themselves. Cars are driving themselves because they're test driving them everywhere. Cars are driving themselves, and we in Jamaica, we in Middle East, we in Africa, we are still dealing with violence. Excuse me. It's unacceptable. These things need to change. We need to be more focused about adding to the innovation of this world. I feel like we're so busy like protecting ourselves. We don't have time to like think creatively, think out of the box. Where's our innovation in this world? Like, only the US, only Europe that's gonna like could come out and develop projects. Don't you think we should get some of the action? Because we're too busy fighting, shooting ourselves up, and getting ourselves mixed up in horrible things, when we could be using that energy to create something, to innovate something, to positively affect the world. It's very possible that the people that can cure the most uncurable diseases in this world are in places where violence is going on, be it the war in Afghanistan, be it in Syria. The brilliant minds, be it in Africa, the brilliant minds can be lying fallow somewhere in some city in Jamaica, but cannot get out because they're surrounded by danger and violence, and it's unacceptable. And until we realize that this is possible, that there can be geniuses amongst us, but they're being like pushed down because of the negative environment, until we realize that we ourselves are stopping our growth, nothing positive is going to come out of this. And I just think that something has to be done. Something has to be done about it. I don't want to talk about gun violence anymore. I don't want to talk about people dying anymore. Like, can't we all just get along? We need peace in this world. Always remember, this is your news update with Adira, and you can comment, join the conversation by dropping a comment on the screen that you see there. Share with me. I want to know what you think. I want to know what your views on my topics are. I want you to join in the conversation. Talk to me, share with me. Please, if you watch this video later, drop a comment and tell me some topics you want me to talk about. Tell me what you would like to hear more of. Tell me how I'm doing. Of course, tell me if you're enjoying the show. Tell me what, give me feedback. Let me know how you feel about it. I'm always ready to hear your comments and listen to anything that you have to say. I always enjoy talking. I'm a talker, if you haven't been able to tell. I always enjoy talking, and I can't wait to talk more with you, engage, interact. In case you watch this, I want to give you just drop a little hint. Our Friday show is gonna be interesting. They're gonna be giveaways, so stay tuned for that. I'll tell you more about it on Wednesday, but be prepared to hear about that. As always, I'm Odera, and this has been your news update on Jamaica Live. Always tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.